Hey everyone, welcome to this little impromptu unboxing episode of live from TFU Studios, and we're going to go off topic today. Um, so I am trying to do a little spring cleaning here in the basement, and aka TFU.INFO Studios. And one of the things I've noticed piling up, aside from Transformers, which I haven't opened many in the last year and change, but that will change soon as the podcast and the site move along. So as we do, I am going to unbox some Marvel figures. But in the meantime, while I'm getting set up here, I'm just going to throw a few of the ones I do have open, hanging out on into the box here, just to chill. But man, this Wolverine has some floppy joints, or maybe I just have them angled wrong. But we shall see. Let's see. There we go. Is that it? Nope. All right. Well, while I get Wolverine set up here, let's get a few more. But I have a good I don't know, dozen or so figures to open up for the Transformers fans. There is a little bit of Death's Head. For you fans of Simon Furman, and as a collector, though, I'm mainly a Transformers collector, and I don't even really read Marvel books anymore. I do pick up the occasional 3 3/4 inch Marvel Legends figure. I do occasionally get a nice freebie from Hasbro in the 6 inch class. I will open a couple 6 inch figures, but overall, I do like the 3 3/4 inch line. Because it just scales well with GI Joe and with Transformers to some extent. I don't have a lot on display at the moment, but I was big into these when it was called Marvel Universe. And let's see, so there's Wolverine. Throw Rogue into the mix here. A little lady action going on, and we'll unbox a few to hang out with these groups. I really should get some figure stands for these guys because they do not. Some of these joints are a little light and do not stand very well. All right, so in the meantime, since people seem to be popping in and out, I've got things split up into different groups. Got a little bit of a Marvel Cosmic Action section going on. I've got a Avengers group. Well, I guess that's more the Marvel Cosmic stuff. We've got a little bit of a Guardians of the Galaxy section. A little bit of other, a little bit of X-Men, and a vintage Marvel Universe Fantastic Four. So I'm just figuring out what to do first. So anyone watching along, you want to chime in on the chat what I should do first, what group should go first, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to dig right in. Now, one of the things with me and Marvel 3 3/4 is that I tend to wait till this stuff is on sale. I don't like paying full price for these guys. I bought a lot of them over the holiday season when they were $5 or less for the most part. Unless it's a character I really want, and I generally go for completing groups and completing teams. I don't buy that many villains unless they fit into the motif a little bit. So, that said, I'm going to pull the X-Men guys out of this pile. I also have a black costume Spider-Man hanging out over here, which we'll throw into the background. All right, there he is. Little black costume Spider-Man. This one's pretty old. I think that's from the universe, when it was Marvel Universe, that I bought basically to go hang out with Gears to replicate the Transformers #3 cover. All right, I'm pulling the X-Men guys aside. We'll grab some X-Men guys later. But since I've kind of got the outer space dudes, let's start with Beta Ray Bill. Oh, hey, Eric, what's going on, man? So we're going to start with opening up Beta Ray Bill. And speaking of people with similar names, if you guys watch listen to Radio Free Cybertron, there was an excellent minicast episode this week with John DeLuna, the host of the minicast, and a mutual acquaintance of ours, a gentleman by the name of Bill Ray, who was a regular attendee, I should say, at Transformer conventions, the BotCon convention in particular, many times. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with him at the con a number of times, and he's certainly a great dude. And this always came up to how his name was, that I always thought his name was uh, Beta Ray Bill. All right, so the other reason I'm doing this opening is to get some stuff out of my basement. So we are packing some things into a garbage bag. I'll show you that in a second. But here's the Beta Ray Bill out of the package. And if anyone's got any questions, hit me up on the chat. I will answer them as I see them. There is his... made you feel like a 2-year-old because you were probably 2 when we started going to conventions. I mean, oh my God, you were... Alright, so one of the people in the chat is Eric Crownover, who is a guest on my podcast before, and someone I've had the pleasure of also hanging out with at a convention, and one of my newer friends in the fandom, and he is much younger than I am. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was born the year I went to my first BotCon. Beta Ray Bill has a hard time getting out of this package, and I hope I did not drop anything other than the camera. Alright, so here he is. Check this out, his cape detaches. Yep, that was the year. What month is your birthday, Eric? Because you might not have been born when I went to my first BotCon. So yeah, check this out. His cape detaches, which is interesting because it does. You know what? So does that said July. So you were born the month I went to my first BotCon, because BotCon was in July that year. It was the weekend that JFK Jr.'s plane crashed into I don't remember where. It was in water. But that happened while I was at my first BotCon, so that should give many of you perspective on how young Eric is. So here we go with Beta Ray Bill. Just popping his... I should probably do this on camera, right? I'm just popping his sword, his hammer, into his hand here. And that hand grasp is real closed, but we'll pop that around. Here's a little Beta Ray Bill, Death's Head, hanging out, and we'll move on to the next figure. I'm gonna keep a Thor theme, at least for the first 2 figures. Let me move some of this stuff back in the box here, so that we can see what else we got coming up. So we've got a little bit of Thunderstrike, which is another 90s Marvel character that certainly holds place to me. It used to just be Thor with a beard, and he was a human who got the powers of Thor, if I remember correctly. I don't remember how, but he was able to hold the hammer. Yes, he does, Cybertronian Beast. That is a great point. That there will be someone to carry on the legacy after we're way too old to do so. I don't know when that is. Probably when we're dead. So here he is. I pulled the hammer out of his packaging already, but you can pop that in there. It's kind of neat. He's got a chain piece for the back of the hammer, and the shape of the hammer isn't your typical Mjolnir, as I used to call it when I was a teenager. Alright, let's get this guy out of the package. Got a whopping 3 people watching right now, and alright. And all of you checked in the chat. That's great. So welcome. Feel free to ask me anything you like. It could be Transformers related, Marvel related. If I can know it, I will happily share my knowledge. Alright, so here, we get this hammer in his hand. Actually, it's neat because you can kind of loop it around the the handle. Give him a bit of a swinging hammer action. He's got the Thor chest. It's kind of neat. He's got a vest that probably is removable. I've never tried switching things on these figures. Usually I just open them, display them, call it a day. There is Thunderstrike. Let's see if we get the hammer in. Man, I forgot how tricky it is with 3 3/4 inch figures to get these weapons in when you first get them out of the package. So here we go. There we go. And there is one of, and this is one of Don Ferguson's favorite characters. He's the only person I've heard on a podcast mention Thunderstrike. So that's awesome, dude. You know, I remember having Thunder. I used to collect Marvel. I used to be strict Marvel only when I collected physical comics, especially in my early days. I'm so out of the loop on everything. I feel like I can't get back in. So I've never really gotten back into Marvel unless they bring back a character, some oddball character that I really like. Like they've done a few Fool Killer miniseries that I've been really into. But like to get back in on X-Men or Avengers or Spidey, I just feel like I've missed way too much. All right, so let's get to a couple more Avengers themed and Marvel. I'm gonna get into a few Avengers themed characters, I guess. And again, these are ones I totally grabbed on the cheap on Amazon. And if you check on Amazon, there are a lot of these are throw-in items, under $7 usually. Some around 5 or 3 if you catch them at the right time. And this one I didn't even I didn't even show you it on the card, but it's Ant-Man. And if you got a Five Below by you, also a lot of these have been there for a while and are still there if you look around or hit a few of them. Ant-Man's kind of disappointing here, only because he has no removable pieces and nothing with him, no accessories either. That's kind of a bummer. I guess that's the difference between Infinite Series and the Legends Series 3 3/4. I guess they scaled back the number of parts they had, but here is Monsieur Ant-Man. I keep going back on the Black Panther stuff. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I haven't really developed an affinity for the character, but I'm pretty sure my old 3 3/4 Marvel collection that's in storage, I have a Black Panther in there from Legends. Not Legend, that would be Universe, I guess. So, got a couple more. Wow, there is a big pile of stuff here to open. This is fun. All right, here we go. So, another one you can find pretty cheap on Amazon is Vision. I'm going to adjust that there. Vision is, I don't know what he is on Amazon right now. I think he was like $5 the other day. Maybe even less. I know the Steel Spider is like $3.50, which is way marked down from the 12 or so they usually are when they first come out. So if you have the patience to wait it out on these, they'll usually show up. But I don't know how much. Dude, coming up a little later, maybe a lot later. Speaking of Black Panther, is that one right there. This was a freebie from the fine folks at Hasbro, who hooked me up post Toy Fair with a bag of goodies, and that 6-inch Black Panther is part of it. All right, cracking open Vision. I really liked how this one looked in package. That's why I picked him up. It's got some solid colored green. I guess solid's the wrong word. Solid meaning really nice. And nice yellow paint deco as well. You can hear me crackling over here. And there seems to be, there it is. That's just getting the cape out. Okay, so he has a pretty loose cape. Here we go. Let's put him back in. I'm going to tilt that back down because there's not a lot, but do a nice job with these capes. It's kind of semi-translucent. You can see my finger right there peeking through. And no post on the back, but as far as having a decent looking Vision, It's not the, I'm not partial to some of the movie designs. I guess that's the nostalgia side of me wanting to pick up toys that look like what I saw in the comics as a kid and as a teenager. Doesn't have wrist swivels, which is odd because a lot of these seem to, or Ant-Man does at least, and let's see, Beta Ray Bill does, but Thunderstrike does not. So I guess interesting. One of those are the looks like the same arm piece almost, different paint deco, but much different than the Ant-Man arms, which appear to be the Spider-Man arms. Yeah, some nice butterfly joints here in the knee. I have to figure out what I'm going to do as far as displaying these guys, but you can see he's got the jewel, or I forget what that is in the comics. Is it an Infinity Stone in the comics, or is that only the movies? And speaking of Infinity War, the next one I'm opening is somewhat related. And we'll just hide him up there. And I saw this on clearance. Eric, hold on, let me pop this in. I've got nothing to talk about on News and Views at the moment. There hasn't been a lot of news, and with the Easter holiday and everything coming up, I've been actually working on the next episode of Transformers University, which should be out, I'm hoping Monday coming. We'll see. I have all my research done. I have all the audio in for the next episode of Transformers University as far as people contributing to the show. I do not have anything recorded on my end. So, it becomes a balancing act. There's not really a lot to talk about on News and Views, but if I was to do a News and Views right now, it'd be about, I guess, Toys R Us. And what's going on there. And I think XV addressed it pretty well on RFC this week. There was some speculation on my end when I first got to the Toys R Us sale about them liquidating stuff back to the manufacturers or to other companies already. Had a hard time finding just about anything, and with it at a 10% discount. I don't feel like the stores, even though they were crowded, I don't think they were selling as much as they were having people come in and take a look. So there is, oh man, Captain Marvel. I almost called her Miss Marvel, but that is Captain Marvel right there. And is there a difference between Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel? You guys want to hook me up there and remind me, because Captain Marvel in my head was always a dude. Miss Marvel was the one Rogue stole her powers from. So yeah, okay, Cybertronian Beast, give me the Cliff's Notes version. I think that's the last of the Avengers stuff, though. I do have one more, and this is more villain than hero, and that is Hydro Man, which I literally picked up because I have one issue of Avengers West Coast that oh sweet, Eric, that's awesome, man. Yeah, we're going to be doing, I'll give you the inside scoop. We're going to be doing G1 season 2. The first 5 episodes of that season are the next portion of the show, and in that episode, I won't give you who's on, but we'll be talking about Autobot Spike. Let's see if I can remember this in order. Autobot Spike, Changing Gears, City of Steel, and Attack of the Autobots, and Traitor. And just cracking open this Hydro Man figure. I bought this literally because of the first issue I ever had of Avengers West Coast. It was issue 59, I think. I remember reading it at my grandmother's house, and this was the villain, and it just always stuck out in my head as a I don't know, remember if it was a good book or not, but the cover always stood out in my head in there. And this is kind of neat. He's got spinning action. Let me get my hand out of the way, so it's kind of a neat effect It also saves them on molding actual legs for this toy by just doing this hollow shaft. Alright, so trying to get the chat off my screen, so just give me a second here. Whatever. Oh, there it goes. It fades off if you wait long enough. There is Hydro-Man. All right, so since I've got you three hanging out and chatting, all right, do you guys want me to go? All right, I've got a couple of assorted. Oh, hold on. So Captain Marvel started out as a man, Captain Marvel. Yep. After he died, I'm not sure where his powers went, but Miss Marvel was Carol Danvers, which has just become Captain Marvel. Got it. Thank you. But you know, she's going to be in the Infinity War film, right? Or at least that's. Oh yeah, Eric. The end of that Changing Gears episode's incredible, and it's one of those things. It's funny watching it. I hadn't seen it probably since I bought the DVDs, and I didn't remember how good of an episode it was. It feels like a generic plot contrivance, and it is, but it's still really well done. Okay, so I'm pulling these guys off for now. I'll leave Spidey in there because he's on a figure stand. Unless you guys think I should pop anyone else onto that figure stand in his place. So I guess the next question is, if you had a choice, let's put it to a vote. Let's see. Guardians figures or X-Men figures? I got 3 people, 3 votes. Oh, all right. Well, let's get the tiebreaker in there. Guardians or X-Men? All right, X-Men it is. Cool. Because I actually have some here to throw into the shot. So let's get Rogue in here. I have the long shot that came with this Rogue and Wolverine and Professor X set, but I don't know exactly where it ended up. Sucks because I have a really cool X-Men setup. I'm big on 90s style X-Men. That's why brown costume Wolverine. I had a little X-Men setup in my old apartment before I packed everything away, and it was how am I losing power on my phone? My phone's plugged in. Hold on 1 second. I want to make sure we don't. Didn't they do? Oh no, they didn't do a 6-inch long shot. They did a 6-inch scatter shot. Shatter shot. The Liefeld guy with the ponytail from X-Force. Shatterstar. That's it. Anyway, so that Wolverine has a hard time standing. So yeah, back to what I'm saying. 90s X-Men. So 80s, late 80s, early 90s X-Men pre-TV show are kind of the ones I'm really into. So we'll start with Omega Red right here, which unfortunately I paid close to full price for because I thought he'd be hard to get, and then he started showing up at Five Below. But that's okay. Every so often, you know, this is toy collectors. That just happens. So let's get Omega Red out here. He's going to look great when I dig up my old X-Men setup. Because I totally have a Juggernaut and a Magneto. And a few of the other guys. And if you like the 6-inch guys, Cybertron, well, you know that yeah, he may be a discount purchase if he shows up in clearance. I feel like something fell out here, so just give me a minute to check the floor. Oh, that's what fell. Ah, his hand went flying. So this is pretty neat. He's got the Omega. Do I Right now they're with Transformers because I don't have the same number of shelves I used to. If you dig through my Facebook or my Twitter feed, you'll actually see I did a whole thing on my collection, whole photo kind of setup of my old apartment and the space I had there, and all the things I had up. I don't have the height to my ceiling in the basement like I used to have in my apartment, so I can't put my shelves that I have already up. So they've been in storage ever since, and whew, I'm out of breath. And so I just threw up the shelves that fit and am loading them up with the stuff I pick up over time. It's neat that he's got the Omegas on his back of his hands here. These claws are a little, the claws, but the whips are a little dainty. They're solid though, like physically, like I feel like they're gonna snap. Interesting paint wash on the back of the arms here. I haven't seen a good paint wash in a while, and I guess on his face too. Right? That's solid paint wash. I remember when they started doing paint wash with GI Joe figures, people lost their minds in the bad way, in the clickbait kind of way. All right, I've got two more, and these are big, heavy hitters. How big? Yeah, it hasn't really changed much. I think I've opened 4 figures since. It's basically everything from Wave 2 of Titan. For Generations, it's everything from Wave 2 of Titan's Return is still pretty much unopened. And I don't mean just Wave 2, I mean Wave 2 through the end. Bunch of stuff that I've gotten at toy conventions, the Fun Pub closeout sale, now Toys R Us closing out. I'm trying to pick up stuff. Almost all of Power of the Primes that is out. I just found Wave 2 deluxes are unopened, and some HasCon stuff. This is I will I plan on it. The thing with the Transformers unboxing is because of the site. So here, just I'll move the camera. I'll show you. Because of the website, I gotta photograph stuff in the package first for the site, so I can't really open anything, until I take a photo of it. So, for example, this pile right here next to me, this is all stuff that before I open them. So if that gives you any indication, yeah. So, and that's just the small stuff, because here, so pull that back over. So that there is deluxes, right? That there is movie style deluxes. There might be a Legends figure in there or two. And then this stuff here is a couple of the taller boxes. Oh yeah, and there's that Masterpiece Optimus that's still back there that I still need to photograph. And let me catch up on chat here. Yeah, that Fun Pub Skywarp's pretty nice. You know, for all my feelings about the people who owned Fun Pub and stood up for things they shouldn't have stood up for, some of the fans behind the scenes that came up with some of those ideas, like Ben Yee of BWTF, they came up with some good ideas. So, that's not who we're opening next. That was a sneak peek. Actually, we'll put it to a vote again. No, actually we're not, because this is not who I was planning on opening. This is who I'm planning on opening. So, get Bishop opened here. Not when it comes to, I want to open the Rogue last because I've just been holding off on opening her to begin with, and I think that's another one I might have paid full price for. But here we go. You can hear Bishop crackling. I'm going to sit him down while I get his weapons out. Yeah, that's kind of how I roll. Best for last when I do these things. Get that and that in the trash. More importantly, I'm getting rid of plastic bubbles because I just gotta talk myself into throwing away the card backs. Wow, they made Bishop tall. That's pretty neat. He is really tall. He is almost as tall as, you see, scale-wise. He is much taller than Rogue, but much shorter than Megaran. Ooh, nice, nice trivia tidbit there, Cybertronian Beast. Good stuff. You are correct. Will Portastio did Cyberforce? Was that his Image book? Was that the one that like almost never came out, or was that the Jay Lee one that almost never came out? This is like right around the time I stopped collecting comics. Wetworks, that's it. That's the Jay Lee. Wetworks was the Jay Lee book. Oh no, Wetworks was Will Portastio. I can never say that one right. Cyberforce was Mark Silvestri. Yeah, no sweat, Eric. Glad I could help you out with that Thundercracker. All right, so there is Mr. Bishop. All right. Neat. I can't wait. I gotta find. Now I'm really like itching to go over my parents' house and find the box of X-Men figures, because I totally have a 90s style Cyclops in there. Okay, so that's who's next, is 80s style Rogue. Which, not for nothing, that art is terrible. Looks nothing like her. Yes they do. Yes they do. Here, this is, there you go. I think all of them do, really. Though they've never made anything for that, I don't think. Yeah. Well, that's the same set, but let's see. So, yeah, even now, even the more recent stuff does. All right. So, for those of you watching when this is recorded, thank you guys for watching live. And if you're watching this while it's on tape, then you know the people I'm talking to are in the live chat. I don't think the live chat gets published anywhere after the fact. So, so just, if you're wondering why I'm answering questions that you're not seeing, that's why. So here is 80s style Rogue. Let me push it on that a little bit. Put her next to 90s style Rogue. Clearly this one is drawn by Jim Lee. Oh yeah, I am just talking to myself the whole time. Yeah, there's certainly some interesting anatomy here. We'll just leave it at that. Put that arm down. They did give her an open hand, which is neat. Though no removable glove. But the 6-inch Rogue actually does have a bare hand, which is kind of neat. Actually, I got that up on the shelf over here. One of the few 6-inch figures I own. I don't think I have the hand up here. Let me. Oh, I did. There's like a. Here we go. For comparison, here is the 6-inch version of Rogue. And you can see they gave her a swappable hand to allow her to steal your. Look out, she's gonna touch you. Oh no, oh no, oh no. All right, that wraps up X-Men. All right, I guess it's time for Guardians. But first, let's throw a Daredevil in there. This is another one I think is still fairly cheap on Amazon. This Daredevil in the vintage yellow and red costume. Dude, you know, I want Charlie 27, but that's probably not going to happen when it comes to the Guardian stuff. Maybe after Infinity War. Because as an old man, my Guardians are Martin X and Vance Astro and Yondu and that batch from the early 90s. Daredevil here comes with his baton, which is we'll just break that in half and pop it in his holster, and I'll put it on camera in just a second. Let's put one in the holster, one in his hand. There we go. Oh, the yellow and brown Daredevil. That's because Yondu is also Daryl's brother from Walking Dead. I cannot remember the actor's name right now, but he's also the mall manager in Mallrats. Or is it the game show host? He's the game show host in Mallrats. Michael Rooker, thank you very much. That's the name I was looking for. I think how we're talking about Yondu while I'm opening up a Daredevil figure. And thank you guys for hanging out on a Saturday afternoon. This is fun. All right, Eric. Shall I? I grab some of these off of here while I do. I'm just gonna all right. So let's move Spidey. All right. So just for Eric, we're gonna put Yondu back there. We're gonna open this one up. And this is what I was talking about vintage Guardians here. Right there's Vance Astro. That is old school 90s Guardians. And I think I hunted this one down somewhere on sale, but it was one of those ones I waited to go on sale, and it took a long time. Oh yeah, comic Yondu has nothing like his movie characterization. He's much more zen, if I remember right, in the comics. And that's the wrong... I mean, it's been 20-somewhat years since I've read those Guardians books. Yeah, this can go. Oh. Alright, hold on. Alright, we'll do Yondu. Just messing with you, kid. Alright. He is pretty much just Michael Rooker in blue makeup. If you listen to... By the way, a former co-worker of mine has a podcast called Hall of Justice. And he is a sports anchor on the NBC Sports Network, which is probably on your cable package. Anyway, he's a big comic book nerd on top of it. And he's got this podcast called Hall of Justice. And occasionally he gets to moderate panels. It's to moderate panels, and one of them was a fan cruise that had Michael Rooker and James Gunn, or his brother. Who's his brother that he puts in his movies? Anyway, long story short, Michael Gunn, is that it? Anyway, there's a panel there, and if you really want on that podcast, search it out. It's Michael Rooker at his Michael Rookeriest. Sean Gunn, that's it. I'm glad you guys are answering my questions, and at least I know you're listening. All right, so. All right, Eric, you know. Right there. Yondu's arrow. Nice try. There is his arrow bag. There is his bow. And we'll put him back here while I open the Captain America characters. Oh, that's not good. Hold on. So, while taking the shield out of the package, it dropped right into my bag of garbage. Which is fine. It's all just toy bubbles. But, alright, so. Alright. Well, it's not. No, it's Vance Astro, who I may pick up in the 6-inch version. I should really look that one up because that one I think is pretty cheap at this point. It is not a lot to this Vance Astro figure, but I forget who he was supposed to be. If it was Franklin Richards or someone, or if he was just himself, or if that was the hot rumor. Wow, he has no waist. Look at that, no waist joint. That's pretty skimpy, and oh, no wrists either. Wow, now I know why these comic packs went on clearance. Neat thing about the comic packs, if you can find them, there's still some at Five Below with the Guardians figures, which will be what I open after we finish Yondu. You know, I could take this to a Brian Kilby level of trolling, Eric, but I will not. I can't bring myself to do that. But if you want to know the king of trolling, yeah, just talk to Brian. He's a very, very amazing troll when he wants to be. All right, let's figure out how to get these pieces on. So this is supposed to go over both his arm and his shoulder. How the hell am I getting this in without taking his head off? The answer is take his head off. Ooh, $11, dude. Part of me is like yes, and part of me is like, maybe I can wait till he gets to single digits. All right. This Yondu does not whistle, as far as I know. There. Oh man, I am now like 2/5 of the way to my 90s Marvel Guardians. I have a Dark Hawk 3 3/4 inch figure in storage somewhere too, which, along with a decent Ghost Rider, if they ever make Sleepwalker, will give like the Marvel 90s summer promo campaign. Well, they'd have to do New Warriors, which they have not done, aside from maybe Nova. By the way, if you collect 6-inch Marvel, Target seems to be clearancing the hell out of that Guardians, the first 2 waves of Guardians. I think $10 each. Or the second wave of Guardians, I guess, because otherwise I'd be able to find that Vance Astro. But the Nova and a couple other figures, I'm going to stash Spidey in there so that they stand. Funny you mentioned that. That is one for a little bit later in this video. I'm going to do the 6-inch stuff at the end because I just need the room to do that. There's only three of the 6-inch figures. And there's not a lot left as far as the 3 3/4 inch figures. 2 more comic packs, and then a 4-pack, and a one more 3 3/4 figure. But we'll finish up the 3 3/4 packs. So we can go Rocket and Groot next. This I scored a 5 below. I wasn't going to do the Modern Guardians, which now has me looking for Grax, who was everywhere for a time and was probably about $5 at one point, and now I can't find him because these 2 packs have Star-Lord and Gamora and Groot and Rocket and no Grax. Oh, I didn't do that Falcon, did I? Alright, stand by. Oh, man, hold on. Is it Falcon or is it just Captain America? Just plain old Cap, right? The African American Captain America. So yeah, nice build to him actually. Sturdy toy. And he has a waist joint. And the same exact shield that I just took out of the other package, but this one didn't end up in the garbage. Fortunately, his wrists are huge, which makes it really impossible to get the damn shield on them. So we will tool around with that another time. Falcon Cap. I mean, he's not Steve Rogers Cap. That's what we know, right? He's got ankle pivots, which is nice. I gotta say, Marvel does Hasbro does a really good job with these Marvel figures. I really wish I knew Marvel as well as I used to enjoy them a bit more. Another light that's on. Yes, I do. Does that help? No, that doesn't seem to help because I can't see my damn screen. All right. All right. So coming up next, a little bit of Rocket, a little bit of Groot, and see how they're packaged. Groot's legs are totally separate. They also seem to use the same color brown as my dryer. You're hearing that buzzer. I probably shouldn't have put the card in the garbage just yet, but I do want to see. Who gets the gun? I guess it's Rocket, right? Yep, Rocket gets the gun. Hey, we got a 4th person in the chat. Thank you for joining, whoever you are. I'm sure I could probably just tap the names and see, but so this Rocket. I also have a Thanos 3 3/4 figure. Yeah, Steve Rogers is kind of boring, but again, going back to my 90s comics love, he is in one of my favorite comics, Captain America comics series, had him hunting down these drug dealers that were selling ice. Let's see, it was issue 271, 371. Big in the 90s was the early 90s, especially, where the drug fighting superheroes even went into G.I. Joe. When they didn't fight Cobra for a time, they fought the Headhunter, a drug dealing supervillain. All right, I have to figure out which leg is which with Groot. So I think that one goes there. Nope. All right, hang on. Oh, yeah, thanks, Hasbro. Look at that box image real quick. Come on. Want to know which way the knees go on Groot? Oh no, I can't. And why is my phone telling me it's dying? It's plugged in. It's been plugged in. So if this broadcast immediately cuts out at some point, you know why. All right, I think that's right. En route here. We shall see. That looks right. Okay, hold on. These leg joints do not pop in easily, which is fine with me. That means they won't pop out easily. Here. It's Groot. Alright, so there's Groot and Rocket. Alright, on to the remainder of the Guardians. Yeah, I have a feeling that that might happen to me. With some of my Marvel stuff, that I get a few freebies here and there from Hasbro, so I haven't opened some of those because I'm like, oh, I'll use them for something because I really don't care about them. And then they every so often give me a character. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I'm gonna hold on to that, like the Black Panther figure. And one of the other ones I'm opening here as well today. But I've been pretty good about staying out of the 6-inch Marvel trap. And, Benjamin, you're in New York City. I used to live in Queens. I'm from Queens. And the Walmart thing is rough. I live on Long Island now, but I used to drive out here all the time to try to hit up Walmart. I guess this gun. So we're going to do Gamora and Star-Lord. I don't know if I even put it on the screen. I guess I didn't, but too late. It's already open. All right, so here, if you want to find a Gamora, even if you can't find this 2-pack, which is totally at Five Below for $5, the regular single pack Gamora also at Five Below for $5. So probably why the comic pack didn't last very long there. It's the better value. But again, these are the comic versions. Yeah, the closest you're going to get to New York City, depending on where you are in the city, I think Valley Stream, which is Long Island, but it's right on the border, is the closest Walmart. And it's near Green Acres Mall, and it's not a terribly good area at times. But it's on Sunrise Highway. You can actually drive further down and get in. There's another Walmart about 25 minutes away, so you can kind of hit up two. It used to be part of my toy run when I lived in Queens. I'd start all the way east at this one Walmart on the South Shore and then work my way back home. But it's probably then when gas spiked over $2 a gallon, that's when the toy runs started to stop. But this is going back when Eric was probably in kindergarten. And there is Star-Lord. Oh. Let's see, Star-Lord. I'm not fitting everyone into the shot. But, all right, so there we go. It's another. That takes care of my Guardians. So only got a handful of things left, so let's hope the phone doesn't die before I finish up. And if it does, we will maybe do this again, maybe do a Transformer unboxing. I have a pile of Marvel figures now on my photo table. Oh, crap, I have another thing that I'm probably not going to get to today, but I'll show it to you. because I've been debating whether or not to open this, and I want to. And again, this goes back to my love of 90s Marvel, and that is the Sinister Six set. I did not get this on Black Friday, unfortunately, because that was an amazing deal I didn't know about until way after it was over. This was, I paid I think 50 for this, which was cheap. It was 15 on Black Friday, so if you got it on Black Friday, more power to you. All right. So last two, I'm gonna go with an old Marvel Universe set to start, and I got this at a toy show a couple months ago, New Jersey Toy Con. The next one is coming up in April, in just 3 weeks or so, and I'll be there, and I'll probably be broadcasting live for fun. I paid 15 for this, and I might have talked them down a little, and that's a good deal, because I think that's what they were running for when he was back in 2009ish, 2010. When did this come out? Let's see. 2010, according to the copyright. This one has the Invisible Woman, by the way, which I'm a sucker for clear plastic. I really am. All right, so I'm sure there's some Marvel toy nerd right now who's watching this or watching this on tape going, I can't believe you're opening that. But that's what my Transformer unboxing is going to be like. You know, Eric, you mentioned having a Transformer unboxing. When I moved into my apartment, I did kind of the same thing. If you remember, back in around 2007 is when I moved beginning of 2008. I took a hiatus from the site in about late 2006 through most of 2007. Not because I wasn't working on it, but because I wasn't opening anything, just like kind of it is now. Because I was saving to move, and then I moved. And I moved to my apartment, and I had this day of just, I think it was 2 nights of opening toys and photographing them for the site. And the update was like 2 years of BotCon figures, and the whole end run of Cybertron, and the whole beginning of Classics, and the first year of movie. It was obscene, the stuff I was opening. There were things I was opening that were worth a lot of money at the time, and still are, like the pre-Beast Wars Megatron from BotCon. And I just remember going, man, so if someone was watching me do this, someone who's like a sealed collector along those lines, would be having a heart attack watching me open these figures. All right, so let's get this thing. Reed Richards and Invisible Woman. And I'm not familiar with this little robot guy, so anyone want to chime in with me as to who Herbie is? My Fantastic Four knowledge is kind of limited, but I had a thing, and I have a Human Torch in my other set of Marvel stuff. I'm sorry for making you guys stare at a blank white screen, so we will throw the thing out here for now. Which is really nice. I love the big chunky, when they do 3 3/4 inch versions of like Thing and the Hulk, because they're just so big and badass. Here is Reed Richards. He could have done a better job, I think, getting his sideburns. Though you do get some white streaks in his hair, so that's pretty nice. And there is Herbie. I imagine I'll have to hunt down the Invisible Woman in costume at some point. Maybe at New Jersey Toy Con, which is a great little convention. If you're in the area, it's in Parsippany. It's a little bit of a drive. Ooh, this clear plastic is kind of, there's like a stickiness to it, which is weird. I wonder what it's made out of, because it's been in package for so damn long. You can see the arms are a different plastic than the chest and the head. That's kind of cool though, to have the all Invisible Woman. There's some comedy for my friend Alan at Toy Box Comics. which if you haven't checked out, Toy Box Comics, TOYBOX comics with an X. He does a lot of comic strips, just using his toys for photos, and they're a lot of fun. They're very funny. All right, so there are the Fantastic Four. We are down to one more 3 3/4 inch figure. And if you know me, you know I am a big heavy metal fan. It's probably the one thing I'm into almost as much as Transformers, and more so than Marvel. That might be the truth there, Benjamin. I don't know how true it is, though, but that would make sense. Anyway, back to my love of heavy metal, and if you're familiar with if you heard one of the last episodes of Transformers University, I kept dropping Slayer's War Ensemble into clips, and then Megadeth's Countdown to Extinction when I talked about the episode Countdown to Extinction. Yes, Eric, I know. I was at Toy Fair, and I am totally picking up a Deathlock. And on that same Megadeth record, Countdown to Extinction, is a song called Psychotron. And I remember back in the 90s, Dave Mustaine, the singer of Megadeth, gave an interview. He said, I read this comic book called Deathlock, and it just kind of inspired me to write that song. So the song isn't really about Deathlock per se, but it's inspired by. So ever since then, he's been kind of a favorite. And that early 90s miniseries they did at Deathlock was really good. And then it became an ongoing series, and it wasn't that good. But the miniseries, if you could ever hunt it down, it was done in like a prestige format, hard like spine book. It was like the ones that were like $5 or $6 then in 1990, 91. But it was always a good read, and I think that's really what brought Deathlock back from just being an obscure 70s character. Can I get some focus here? Let's see. Yeah, that Deadpool wave is very tempting, I gotta say. Well, we shall see. The thing is, the characters I like are so obscure that hopefully those are the ones that go on clearance. That's usually my goal with Marvel 6-inch. Yeah, and he is on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I am still watching. I don't know who else watches that show. A couple of my friends online do, I know that, but I might be an episode behind, but I really like this season. I've really liked the last couple of seasons, but I know it's not for everyone. Alright, so Deathlock here suffers from having hands that are much too small for his gun. Oh, I could, but I'm not really one to speak to character designs. I'm very, it's either I like it or I don't. I don't like saying much more than that because, look, I can't draw, and I'm not gonna get on someone for drawing something I don't like. I can tell you I do like the IDW version of Unicron. Agents, yeah, I'd to what you guys are saying. I like Agents, and I like Gotham. Those are really the two cartoon TV shows I watch. Gotham took a long time to grow on me, but and I'm not a DC guy, so I have no attachment there. But the show was a little all over the place to start, and it's kind of found its groove the last 2 seasons or so. And Agents kind of the other way around. It started really good and then got weird. And then I liked the framework stuff, and then this season's been pretty good. Yeah, Gotham gets better when it becomes about the villains and it becomes about Joker, and it finds its voice in that. Ooh, good call, Cybertronian Beast. I should check and see. I have IDW hooks me up with their FTP, and I don't think I have advanced copy access, but I usually get review copies the week before, or a few days before at least, that I'm usually not allowed to talk about. Now, Eric, come on now. The one thing I don't talk about on my show is third party. Ooh, I knew something fell out of Beta Ray, Bill. That's not even good. Okay, so going back to the first figure we opened today, is that piece. that I just stepped on and realized that is Beta Ray Bill's lower jaw. So he's been standing around like a Michonne zombie, missing his jaw this entire time. All right, there we go. Check it out. There he is. That's pretty neat. He's got a hinged jaw like that. All right, so that wraps up the 3 3/4 stuff. I am totally not opening that Spider-Man thing right now because that needs a little bit more of a delicate touch. Yes, he gave me his face. But we will open a couple of these 6-inch guys. You folks seem to like them so much. And then I'm going to wrap up because I need a drink of water. So I will start with this this Black Panther, since Eric's such a big fan. And yeah, back onto just third party in general. I'm just kind of personally opposed to the notion, especially as someone who runs an official site and does work with Hasbro as far as being a part of Toy Fair and being part of some of their events. I don't feel it's right that companies profit off of their hard work. And as a creator, as someone who works in the creative industry, look, there's things you do that you work on that fall under work for hire. And I'm going to throw a few of these things in my minimal 6-inch collection here, which is just Wolverine and Rogue. There are things you do as a work for hire, and that's, you know, that when you do them, the company you work for owns them, and that's just the nature of the beast. But you do them because you're creative and you want to do something creative and you want people to see it. Now, I'm all for third-party toys as far as being a feat of engineering, of creating a toy, but to glom off of what someone else was paid to do. So there was a creator involved in creating whatever Hasbro Transformers character you like. You know, for example, let's use Thundercracker for argument's sake. Now, I love John Barber's Thundercracker. Now, look, he has no right to the character. He was paid by Hasbro to do a job. He did a job, and that's that. But then for a third party to go, well, we don't like what Hasbro did with their own thing. We're going to do something else and leapfrog off of that profit. So here's the interior of the Black Panther box. That irks me. That bothers me as a creator, and that bothers me as a fan of Hasbro and the Transformers. Wow, this Black Panther figure is really nice. You are right, sir. The extra fists, the claws. So there's two things there. And then there's a lack of imagination in that, look, Transformers, the property, you can do a transforming robot toy and not do Transformers and not do something that already exists. Look at those Unrustables guys. I really, really like what they're doing with that line. As far as being something to do and then creating their own fiction to go with it and doing the other half of the work, because creating the toy isn't all the work. You know, creating the character and the idea to go with it, that's also part of the work. And I just saw a comment about Bakhan. I can't see it in my screen, so just give me a second. There we go. It's still the same, Eric, as far as ripping off Bakhan ideas. Those are all still based on Hasbro IP and Hasbro properties. Hold on. So where was my chat? There it is. Oh yeah, it's absolutely part of the industry. It's no denying that it exists. I've never denied that it exists. It's just that I'm not going to cover it as far as what I talk about, because it's something I don't think is right. And that's really it. And it's not to say I don't own third-party figures from at least from the early days before we kind of knew what it was and what it wanted to be. And I don't mind, third-party. I'm gonna try to swap out the head here on Black Panther. I don't mind third-party add-ons. Like I have that cup with the third-party head to make him look like IDW Cup, because it requires you to at least buy the Hasbro product to do it. And to some extent, Hasbro's been okay with that, endorsing Shapeways a few years back. So, it's not it's not entirely, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not entirely something that should be frowned upon. But for companies who just create something that looks like Optimus Prime and then sells it, like, forget if it was Hasbro. What if that was Disney? I don't mean Disney like Marvel. I mean like Mickey Mouse, or or something along those lines. You don't think there'd be an army of lawyers out there suing them? So those are the things, That said, I do own I own roughly 4 or 5 third-party figures from the early 2000s before we knew what they were, and that's mainly, I own an Auto Roller? No, Auto Scout, which I think was Impossible Toys, and it was terrible, but it fits into Soundwave, which is kind of neat. And really, when the hell is Hasbro? Back then, thinking for me was, when the hell is Hasbro ever going to do this thing? And generally, now we're like, I can't believe they did this thing. And I'm going to fire open Dark Hawk while I'm here. That is a hard word to say. And while we talk third party a little bit. And I also own those old I think it was also Impossible Toys, the Quintesson figures. I own, I think, 3 or 4 of them. I just wanted the main one from the first movie, from the original movie, because after Energon, my thought was, when the hell is Hasbro ever going to do Quintessons again? And quite frankly, 13 years later, and I'm right, they still haven't done Quintessons. Well, here is the insert for the Guardians wave. You guys probably already know this. And I'm probably going to chuck all these inserts, but here is Tiger Head. I have a bunch of... If you Build-A-Figure pieces go for decent money on eBay, because my collecting is so limited as 6-inch, I do have a handful of Juggernaut parts, and now I guess, whoever Michonne is playing, her head. I really should know that actress's name too, and I don't. Tiger Claw looks a lot like a character from Invincible, which I actually talked about in my last off-topic podcast. And this Dark Hawk is badass. Whoa, I knocked him over, and I almost knocked over the phone. My bad. That is a sweet-looking figure. I'm going to grab the tripod and just get in for a little bit of a closer look there. That is a nice-looking toy. I'm going to play around with some of the joints on this, but this is going to display really nicely. All right. I've got one more, and we're going to... I was going to save Dark Hawk for last. Best for last, right? But we will do one more, and this was a freebie from Hasbro, just like the Black Panther figure. This goes back again to that issue of Avengers West Coast. And I say... Right. Thank you. Denai Gurria. Yeah, she was just on Nerdist podcast. She was awesome. There is Wonder Man. Yeah, that's the one Marvel MCU movie I have yet to see is Black Panther. Probably gonna have to wait till it comes out on video, unfortunately. Just my wife wants to see it too, and I just don't think we're gonna have time in the next couple of weeks to get to the movies before it's out of theaters. So, so we're going Wonder Man again. Wonder Man was a big piece in that silly Avengers West Coast comic that I keep. Video. Oh, okay. DirecTV online somewhere.